Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'll be talking you through 4 of my all-time favourite recipes, and so there'll be 2 desserts and 2 main courses, and if ever you end up making them yourself I would love to know how it turns out, or send photos, that would be great to see. And if you're new to my channel, hi, my name is Victoria and I post 1 video a week every Friday 8 PM in France, and so I talk about motherhood, parenting tip and all that fun stuff. So if you're interested, please subscribe and don't forget to hit that notification bell. Right, with all that said, let's just get straight into the video. First recipe on my list are chocolate fondants. Now these look super impressive and they are so easy to do. You will look amazing if you're doing this for friends or family. So you need 3 eggs, 50 grams of flour, 200 grams of dark chocolate, 150 grams of unsalted butter and caster sugar, and then my secret ingredient is espresso powder. And in France I use farine de blé because it seems to blow up a bit more, and you'll need 6 little ramekins. Right, you first start off with melting the butter very slightly just so it's nice and soft. In order to melt the chocolate, I just heat up a little bit of water and then create like a bain-marie. And so there's me just heating up the water, and then you just chop up the chocolate into small pieces. The smaller the pieces, obviously the quicker it will melt, and you just need to eyeball it just to make sure it won't burn. You then need to mix the caster sugar and the butter together. I'm just whisking it with an electric whisk very, very quickly. And then you add in the 3 eggs, one at a time. I then add all my flour into the mixture and whisk everything together, and I'm just eyeballing the chocolate again. That's nearly ready, and it's at this point that I add in 1 teaspoon of espresso powder. Now this just enhances the chocolatey taste, and obviously if you like coffee you can add in more. I just put in 1 teaspoon because for us that's enough personally. And so now my chocolate's melted, I take it off the heat. And just before I mix everything together, I'm going to let the chocolate cool down very slightly, and I am just going to put some melted butter inside my ramekins to grease them up. You mustn't forget to do this, otherwise once cooked the fondants won't just slide out, speaking from experience obviously. And so once that's done, I then add all my chocolate into the mixture and then mix well. I then spoon in about 2 or 3 tablespoons of mixture into each ramekin. This obviously depends on the size of your ramekins, and usually this recipe will give you 6 identically sized ramekins. As usual in this house, it just so happens that all of my identical ramekins are being used for Lucy's food storage in the freezer, so I've just got some random ones, but they're pretty much the same size. I then carefully film the ramekins, and then I place these into the freezer for minimum an hour before I cook them, or you can actually leave them in for a couple of weeks and they're still absolutely fine to serve for yourself or for your guests. Cook them directly from the freezer for 20 minutes. Now the one I'm showing you, I actually left in for a few minutes longer because I didn't want it too sloppy, but if you really want the gooey effect, 20 minutes maximum is perfect. Once out of the oven, just go around the inside with a knife and they'll pop straight out. Next up, I have a simple yet classic roast chicken dish to show you, which is a firm favourite in our household. So all you need is fresh thyme, melted butter, some salt, pepper, lemon, and then obviously your chicken. And so my biggest tip is to get the lemon and you prick it all over, and this will be inserted inside your chicken, and it will ensure your bird stays nice and moist, and even if you slightly overcook it, it will never be dry. It's just been amazing, especially if you're a busy mum and you've got a million things to think of in the day. At least you know the dinner won't be overcooked. Under the watchful eye of Lucy, I dribble over the melted butter and I just massage it all over the bird to make sure everywhere is covered, and then I add my salt and also my pepper just to make sure everything is well covered, and this will create such a lovely crispy skin to the chicken. I have preheated my oven at about 200 degrees centigrade, and basically as soon as I put the chicken in, I then turn it down to 180 and cook for 40 minutes. Roast chicken is absolutely perfect with roast potatoes, and so what I like to do is parboil some potatoes and then I bash them up a little bit just to make them a little bit fluffy on the outside, and this will really crisp up when we cook them with the chicken. I then separate some cloves of garlic and then chop up a load of carrots and then some onion as well, and then I mixed the whole lot with some olive oil and salt and pepper. After 40 minutes in the oven, I take the chicken out and I basically add the potatoes to the juices of the chicken, and then I add the cloves of garlic too, and I just mix everything together, and basically your roast potatoes will soak up the juices of the chicken and they taste really good. And for extra fluffiness, I also bash them up a little bit more just so they'll crisp up even more. The chicken then goes back into the oven for another 40 minutes. So my little helper has just added some salt to the carrots which I chopped up earlier, and I am pretty sure I cannot be the only parent who just cannot cook one meal without a small child grabbing at my ankles. I then stick the carrots into the oven for the remaining 30 minutes or until the chicken is fully cooked through, and this is the end result. So yes, I know my presentation skills aren't fantastic, but I can guarantee the taste was amazing. Next we have tarte au citron or lemon tart, and I cannot take any credit for this recipe whatsoever. It is from my beloved Food of France book, and basically you just have to have 350 grams of plain flour, so I use farine fluide in France, some salt, 150 grams of unsalted butter, 100 grams of icing sugar, and also 2 eggs beaten together. To start making the pastry, you just mix in the salt and butter into your flour and then massage it in with your fingers in like a pincer motion, and you basically want to aim for fine breadcrumbs. Add in the icing sugar and also the whisked eggs. You then mix everything up together so it will create one ball of pastry. This may take a while and it gets very gooey, but it is so worth the effort. Once finished, you just place your pastry onto some cling film, wrap it up tightly, and then pop it into your fridge at least 1 hour before you want to start cooking it. This sheet thing which I'm placing down on my island is one of my most used and most loved items for baking, and I got it from Lakeland quite a few years ago now. If I can, I'll link it down below, but it's just so practical, and I just put everything on top of it, and then it's just so easy to then clean everything. So I'm just basically getting out my pastry which has been in my fridge for an hour. I'm rolling it out and just adjusting it to my tart mold. Don't worry if your pastry overlaps your tart basin, because it will shrink while it's cooking, and I'm just putting the excess pastry to one side while I make the filling. For the filling, we will need 3 lemons, 275 grams of caster sugar, 190 milliliters of double cream, 275 milliliters of lemon juice, and then 6 eggs in total, 4 of which we will use the whole eggs, so white and yolk, and then the 2 remainder eggs will just need the 2 yolks. I start off with preheating the oven at 190 degrees centigrade or 375 degrees Fahrenheit, and I mix all the eggs together, so the 4 eggs, the 2 egg yolks and the sugar. I then add the double cream and continue to whisk. Next up, I need to grate the zest off the lemons, and so you just need to be careful not to go too far, because otherwise if you get the white part underneath the zest, it will make the tart very bitter. And then I just want to get as much juice out of these lemons as possible, so you basically prick them all over, stick them in the microwave for a minute or so, and then you can get more juice out of them. I then top up my lemon juice with my store-bought lemon juice so that it makes 275 ml, and then I whisk everything together once more, and then I set my filling aside and get my tart pastry back out of the fridge. I then get my baking beads out, and if you don't have baking beads you just use some raw rice and then some baking parchment, and so I basically put the baking parchment on top of my tarts and then spread the baking beads inside, and then I blind bake the tart pastry for 10 minutes. While the pastry is cooking, I'm just going to quickly whiz up some jam tarts with the remaining pastry. I am sure everyone in France has tried jam from Bonne Maman at least once in their lifetimes, and it really is the most delicious jam, and I'm just using a simple strawberry one today. Now I get my pastry out of the oven, and as you can see it's just starting to crumble at the sides, but that's okay, presentation isn't everything. And I was in a bit of a rush because I wanted to get it ready for my parents who were just popping by, and so I've just removed the baking beads from the pastry and then whacking it in again for 3 to 5 minutes just so it is fully cooked in the middle. I then put the filling into a jug and then pour it very carefully into the tart in the oven. After 10 minutes of baking, the jam tarts were ready, and then the tarte au citron took about 35 minutes, and voila. Final recipe is lapin à la moutarde or rabbit and mustard sauce, and so you'll need some fresh thyme, bay leaf, 4 tablespoons of flour and about 2 tablespoons of mustard, 1.5 kilo of rabbit, some onions, chopped up bacon or lardon as they call it in France, and a large glass of white wine. I then start by roughly chopping up the onions because it's a job I absolutely hate and I'd rather get it done sooner rather than later. And then I generously salt and pepper the rabbit before brushing it over with the mustard. And then I start heating up some olive oil in a pan, and basically you just want to brown the meat, so you're not actually cooking it through. You just need maybe about 3 or 4 minutes on each side just so it's brown. And while the first lot is cooking away, I'm just going to whip up some chicken stock, so you want about 3 cups of chicken stock in total. Please bear in mind that I did actually double the recipe this particular day because I have space in my freezer to do so. So yes, it does appear a lot, but don't worry, it's because it's doubled. Cook the bacon and the onion for about 5 minutes together before adding in the flour and mixing well. Add the wine and also the stock. Bring it to a boil, stirring every now and again before adding your meat, 2 bay leaves and some thyme. I also add in the juices from the meat because it just adds more flavour. Pop the covers on top of the rabbit and then cook away in the oven for about 75 to 90 minutes or until the rabbit is nice and tender. Carefully pick out the herbs, and then you basically want to add to taste as much mustard as you would like personally. We quite like mustard, so I've added 4 tablespoons of strong mustard to our sauce, and then you add a cup of double cream. Season to taste and serve with some fresh thyme. Right, that's it for this video. Thank you ever so much for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed it. And I know it's a bit different. I don't often do cooking videos, but it's one of my passions, so I just thought I'd show you what I get up to. And if you want me to do any recipes in particular, let me know. And so yeah, I'll see you in my next one, guys. Bye!